Hey everybody, this is Dr. William Clark here for Leadership Conversations. This is the show where we talk about leadership according to the world that matters to you. I'm happy to be with you again, and I wanted to share this quick podcast with you about problem-solving strategies. Your business, your organization, your nonprofit, your church will have problems. Things will pop up, and there will be issues that will come across your plate that you got to deal with and resolve. So I wanted to share with you some quick tips on how to solve problems in your business, and perhaps this can work in your personal life as well. Here's the first thing I recommend you do. One, you got to determine how you feel about the situation. You got to sit with your thoughts. You got to process yourself, how you're feeling and what you think about the situation. The moment you go through a problem or a problem is presented to you, it's easy to say to your friend or to your partners or to people you trust, hey, what do you think? The problem is, and that's going to be my second tip, but the problem is when you do that as your first reaction to the problem that's been shared with you, you haven't had time to process your own thinking on your own, then you run the risk of clouding your own judgment and coming up with solutions that may not be natural, don't feel natural to you. The reason you want to sit with this is because you want to make sure you're at peace with what you think, although your thinking and your resolution to the problem may not be what you end up doing or going with. But it's beneficial to you to really process internally, because once you get to step two, which is I'm about to share with you, you'll have something to bring to the conversation. Now, the second thing I want to recommend you do is ask trusted people in your life for their perspective. Okay, they may have an objective point of view about what's going on. They may not even have a dog in the fight, so they're not tied to the situation. They're not emotionally invested. They don't have anything at risk, and they're more prone to give you some objective advice. But then you may feel like, well, listen, if you have nothing to fight for, if you have nothing invested in this, you may not really care. That's not necessarily the case all the time. It may be true in some cases. But people who don't have a dog in the fight tend to be less emotional than you because they're not going through the situation and they weren't the ones presented with the situation. So you want to ask them for their perspective. Now, when you tie that with the first piece of advice I gave you, it's better for you to go into that situation asking your friends and trusted resources for advice with your own thinking, because then you won't be easily persuaded. When people give you advice, they don't know the ins and outs of a situation. They don't know the exact details of what happened. They weren't there. They don't see it from your point of view. But when they share what they think and you process it based upon the backdrop of what you're already thinking, you're able to dismiss bad advice, because some things people say may be irrelevant because of X, Y, and Z. And they weren't there to see X, Y, and Z. So if they were, they would not have suggested what they just suggested. But it allows you to filter out bad advice and focus on what actually makes sense, which leads me to my third point. You got to filter through your thoughts and the thoughts of other people to come to a solution that makes the most sense. When you talk to people in your life, people who do care about you but may not know full details of the situation but may have some advice to give, you may realize that some of what they say actually makes a ton of sense. And had you done that in the first place, you might not be in the situation you're in now. So you may get to the point in saying, you know what, I'm going to change my position on this because of these good reasons, right? It makes sense to change, but I'm going to keep my position on these things because it makes sense to stay steady on those things. This is the benefit of having your own opinion about a situation and getting advice about a situation, right? You get the best of as many worlds as possible to come together, to collide, to get the best options available for your business, for your customers, for your projects, etc. But then after you've done all that filtering, you got to do one more thing. This is the fourth thing you got to do. You got to act. You can't just sit on a situation for a long time and not do something about it. The more you sit there, the more you allow something to percolate in your mind, the more you allow something to fester without actually pushing towards a resolution, the less likely you are to quickly resolve the situation. The more likely you are to change your mind about the situation. The more likely you are to mess up a situation even worse. You got to act. And you got to resolve it as quickly as possible. So I hope this is helpful. I hope that you are able to use this for your business, for your nonprofit, for your church. It's much better to deal with these things with people you trust, deal with these things based upon your own insights, figure out the solution that makes the most sense, and then quickly resolve it as fast as you can. If you enjoyed this, share this on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and via your favorite podcasting platform. Go ahead and like, subscribe, comment, if you will. And I'll be glad to engage with you. This is Dr. William Clark here, and just look forward to seeing you in the next show. Peace.